This is the so what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be replacing the handle scales on this buck knife. I'm going to polish it up. Brass is turned a little bit, which we're going to get it all polished up, get it all pretty again. And we're going to put on here. Now this is some black pearl that I made. I made this the other day. It's epoxy resin with a little, and I colored it up to look like black pearl. We're going to be putting this on this. Give this old knife a new life. So now that I've got these down flat, now the best thing about this is after doing, I don't know what this is going to look like till after I get it put on there and get it done, get it fixed, get it polished up. So I'm just as curious and anxious to see it finished myself. But now I've got them flattened out. Next thing to do is to get these handle scales off of this. Now whenever I go do this, I have to just take these off. The pins and all. There's not much any way of putting all these pins back on that hold this. Now I'll explain this just a little bit better here in just a minute. There it is. Now, to talk about that a little bit more, you can see that them pins ain't very big right here. And there's really not much of any way without taking the whole knife apart, finding the pins that are holding it together here at these bolsters. So I would have to take the whole knife completely apart, just to put the pins back in for the handle scales. I don't want to take this knife completely apart, so we're gonna glue these back in with some good epoxy. Now this pin right here, that one does have to stay. But we'll have to take it down to where it's flush with this and then paint it over. Now another thing, from the factory, try to get that to focus in a little bit. This is beveled right here, just for this reason of replacing the handle scales, putting different ones on. That way, whenever you get this ground down, you can pin it back over and it'll set right down where that's been beveled out, and it'll still hold. And what that pin does, this is about one of the most important parts of the knife. That's the pivot point for the lock blade. You can see how it raises up. Right there's where it pivots. And then there's a spring that's back here that pushes up on this lock. So that pin absolutely must stay in there, or it'll just fall apart. So I'll finish getting this ready. I'll get these little pins. I'll get them out, because I should be able to just pull them right out. And I'll get this all ready and get this one off, and then we'll get them other scales put on. Now, you can tell they're not really holding much. That didn't take much effort at all to get that pulled out of there. So there's those. So I've got the blade taped up. I don't want to get none of this epoxy on that blade, because that blade's in really good shape, and I don't want to have to clean the blade back up. So we taped it up to keep it from getting dirty. Okay, something else I did is I scuffed this up a little bit. That way it'll help it stick together. Now I also want to make sure that I've got this cleaned up real good too. I want to make sure that this is really good and clean. If it's dirty, then it won't stick. It'll more likely come off. So I want that cleaned up really good. And I'm just using acetone, wiping it down. Good thing about that acetone is it evaporates. Now, as I'm putting this epoxy on here, where all those little pinholes were, I don't want to just cake it around there so that it pushes through. It goes inside of inside here where it folds. I do want to put it on real good around those, but not necessarily over those holes. Which now, it will, when it puts scales on, it will push over to those holes and go in there some. But we just don't want so much of it there that it just sticks through through the scales here, can't think what to call it right at the moment, but we don't want it to stick through there and have the blade hitting it. Now really put these scales on. Now I'm going to put it over here and clamp it together. Wait for it to dry. Make sure those are where they need to be. And I'm putting 2 pieces of wood on each side. And the reason I'm doing that is so that it will help spread the pressure out evenly as I clamp this down. Alright, so now I'm sanding. I'm trying to get the finish on this. I started out with 120 grit, and right now I'm on 220. And whenever I swapped to 220, I sanded with it for a little while before I started wet sanding. And now I'm starting to wet sand with the 220. And I'll keep doing this, keep sanding until I get all the scratches that I can find from the 120 till I get them sanded out. And then I'll step up to a 400 grit. And then a 600 grit, doing the same thing, and so on until I get ready to buff this. And there we have it, all finished. We got it polished up and everything. So there we have it. We give some new life to an old knife. That was a buck knife. Put the new handle scales on. So if you like this video, be sure to check out my other videos, and don't forget, if you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing, liking, and sharing. We'll see you next time.